Welcome to the Public Works Committee. We do have a very narrow quorum here that we hope we move to more members present, but I'll move into the chair's report here. Just so that everyone is aware, Councilman Hall has issued a written request to review current drainage plans issued by the Department of Water and Sewage Services for all properties located on Cato Road, located in Council District 1. This request was submitted pursuant to Section 1564.140.c.2 of the Metro Code of Laws. Subsection C3 of that code provision requires the Public Works Committee to conduct a public hearing within 30 days after consideration of the request to consider whether grading activity on the sites is in compliance with the grading permits and drainage plans. And I have suggested, and I believe Mr. Jamison has conferred with the clerk's office and discovered that we can conduct that during the Public Works Committee meeting on December 4th. So we will probably be back in the big room for the purposes of that public hearing, and then just go ahead and conduct the remainder of the committee in there. This is an unusual outcome of some of the solid waste policy work that we've done in this committee and council, but that is there as well. And then I have invited Director Potter. For anyone who does not know, the district energy system of Nashville has one member of council appointed to the advisory board with a number of customer representatives and then some other stakeholders as well appointed by the mayor. We have moved to a posture of request for proposal via that board, and I wanted Director Potter to be able to just share some information about that. And just to be clear, these chair and staff reports are generally here to provide information. If we need to do follow-up action through the process of legislation, any of that should be brought to the attention of Mr. Jamison outside of this, just so that we are making sure we are compliant with all sunshine laws. So with that, I will move into staff reports and give Director Potter the floor first, and then we will go to Public Works for a review of their staff report as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have to be very general because the RFP is on the street, and I really can't be specific. But generally speaking, we're looking at a two-step RFP to identify either a new operator for DES or a purchaser of DES, or maybe even a hybrid of that, operate to purchase. We were not specific on the terms of the RFP. We wanted people to bring their ideas, so we literally have no idea what's going to be proposed. Once the proposals are in, a committee of people from Metro Water, Metro Finance, from the advisory board, and hopefully a customer rep, that's the customer of DES, will be on the evaluation panel that will have specific methods to evaluate the proposals, and that will result in the second stage RFP for all the ones who pre-qualified for the second stage. We hope to get this done such that we can give a good number for the budget process next year for how much the contribution from Metro will be. We think we'll have really good proposals because there are businesses in this sector that do this specifically, and they do it really well. So we think we'll have really good options to bring to the evaluation committee. I think it's good news that a member of the advisory board will be on it, and also a customer will be on it, because that'll give, I think, the proper input to the decision-making process. And finally, the oversight of the contract that's presently engaged with Constellation is going to transition to Metro Water, to Bob Lackey. And if there's if the decision is made to have a new operator or the current operator, will remain the oversight of the administration of the contract.
Since the DES deals with energy, I'm a little curious at how it ends up in water as opposed to maybe Public Works or something. How?
Most of what travels through the pipes is water.
Because it's forced water, pumps.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what we do.
You do pumps too, okay.
Yeah.
And for anybody who is not aware, who has not either toured or looked at the information about District Energy System, it was the old thermal site that was our incinerator that used to provide some amount of energy on the incineration, was basically replaced by a chilled water and steam system that is its own independent system that has a footprint entirely within downtown, but the infamous steam tunnels under downtown. That is the district energy system. It supplies Metro, several Metro footprint buildings, several state facilities, and several private customers, including the Symphony and a number of hotels that will supply 5th and Broadway, I believe. And so one of the questions that led up to this point was capacity. We had not been adding capacity. There was a question about a capital infusion, and we decided to go through a consideration of our options, had a private entity review those with us, and I guess we're taking that next step now.
Right. So I feel really comfortable with what we're going to get as a proposal, and I think what we bring to the council will be the best operating profile for the city.
If I may, what percentage of buildings downtown are on the system?
I have no idea. There are 17
40.
customer.
Yeah,
40?
It's not the majority of
It's been
downtown.
40.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was part of the
It's
concern
interesting, because I
was.
perceived it to just be the whole downtown.
No,
I never
it's
realized
not.
it
And that's
wasn't.
part of the issue.
Opt-in,
Okay.
we've had, I mean, so frankly, it's been, right, the district energy system has basically been in contract administration for quite some time, right? So you have an operator and a manager of the contract who effectively reports to Metro Finance and the DES Advisory Board. And after doing this for a couple of years, I noticed that we were seeing buildings come online, and we learned that we didn't have capacity to support them, or that they had made a voluntary decision not to use district energy, sometimes unaware. So there are marketing considerations, there's capacity considerations, all of which we hope to explore thoroughly through this first consultation and now RFP process.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Other questions? If you haven't been out there, definitely contact Bob Lackey, and probably could arrange a tour. It is a pretty interesting site and service. You can see they have a map in the DS building, so you can see which exact buildings are the customers. Might be on the website. I'll check and find out for you. Thank you, Director Potter.
I'm going to say, but I have something at the end, perhaps.
All right, very good. Ms. Stone, are you willing to go through?
ready.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so just a recap of the report I sent out last Friday. Last week, we picked up 9.92 tons of litter over 62 miles. And then so far this year, since January 1st, we have picked up 438.3 tons of litter over 2,334 miles. In terms of potholes, this previous week, we filled 400. Since January 1, we have filled 38,471. We are not going to have any radar trailers set up this week because of the holiday, so those will go back online next week. If you have, and Councilperson Van Rees actually emailed me, if you're in a newly expanded USD area, you probably don't know the cycles for trash pickup on holidays. So if you have trash pickup on Thursday, normally your trash will be picked up on Saturday. And then trash pickup on Friday will not be affected, even though Metro is off. Yes.
And a suggestion.
Yes.
I know you did the USD expansion, and so a lot of people who are calling you about the trash cans and so forth. But when you call Hub at 311, the preamble message that addresses that particular constituency is so long
Yeah.
that you're like, and I can't, I'm like, which button am I supposed to push? Like, it either needs to be more concise, or you need to have a button for, and then you go to that message.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna lose people. Like, it goes on and on about Madison and your can and your blah, blah, blah. Like, it's very long. So just from a customer service perspective, I would suggest you.
What's wrong with Madison?
Well, sir, it was great the first time, because I was like, well, this is interesting, good to know, glad they're doing this. And then, like, the third time, I was like, I don't need to know this, you know?
If you're from Madison, press 2 now.
Right?
That'll work.
Yeah. Get your own mind, especially.
And then one more thing, something that you might hear about, we are putting red oops tags on recycling carts that contain plastic bags. We're doing a waste audit or a recycling audit over the next couple of weeks. So if constituents receive that red oops tag, it will indicate what is wrong with that cart, probably that it has plastic bags in it, and their can will not be picked up until that problem is remedied. So we're trying really hard to deter people from putting plastic bags in their
We should
recycling.
ban plastic
because
bags.
It is the number one contaminant of recycling here and elsewhere as well. And it's just really, really hard on the machines when they're sorting through the recycling. They get the plastic bags tangled in their sorters and it's a disaster, so.
You'll have to clean that out like once or twice a day, is that right?
Yeah.
Like by hand, go
Yeah, you
in
gotta
to
go
the
in
big
manually.
sorting machines and pull them out.
Yes.
Will Metro Water be doing the same thing with flushable wipes?
Those are like the two evils.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Sorry.
No,
Yeah, little ones.
Kevin,
Yeah.
that's Kevin's job. He's contributing.
Mr. Chair, I just would like to say, we did end up passing a resolution rather than a bill that encouraged all the grocery stores to on education, and Rob Eichert and I have been missing each other, but I intend to follow up with that conversation and perhaps try to move to what many other cities do,
Yes.
which is either 5-cent rebate or a 5-cent fee, depending on how we want to do, and I'd love to make that happen.
And I think it would be okay to share because it was at a venue with about 30 or 40 folks. But Melissa Eads from Kroger,
Yeah, right.
at a zero waste food event, did share that Kroger has set, and I apologize, I don't remember the year, but a fairly
They have a
near
target.
goal, a target goal to eliminate plastic bags themselves as a
So like
store.
2025, I heard it from somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
But
good to
today,
hear.
in many cities, they will
Right.
cheerfully say, oh, you brought your own bags, we'll give you a nickel.
Right.
We could be doing that.
Councilor
So
Ajay.
question to the Public Works. So on that red oops, so does it have your specific violation or do they supposed to know?
I don't know that off the top of my head. Sharon sent me a picture of the actual tag itself, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty clear about what the
great.
infraction is in
Okay.
the recycling can. But I can send you a picture of it so you can see what it looks like. I'm not sure if it's like a checkbox or exactly what's on there.
Okay.
Y'all
Yeah,
have-
because,
Oh,
I'm sorry, yeah, one time I heard there's, in my district, there's several recycling, bins.
Yeah.
Because some people, like I have 2 of them. And then I was notified there was some violation because it was so close together. So they got some like a violation notice for, you have to put certain like foot
Space.
apart or something so they can,
Grab it.
easily grab. So if you can kind of specify what the violation might be,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
And this is the audit that they're doing right now is specifically, I don't know if they'll pick up other issues like that. It's specifically flipping open the lid of the bin, looking through it and identifying if it's all good or if it has contaminants in it. So I'm not sure if it'll pick up those other issues or not, but I can find out.
And Courtney, I was going to ask, let's see, I think I've still got it. Yeah, let's make sure for next meeting, I know it's on first this time, but I've already had some questions about BL 2018-1406, which is the visibility of garbage
Yeah.
receptacles, right?
I have also.
So I want to make sure for committee discussion purposes that we've got
Okay.
something on that. Any other questions for either Metro Water or Public Works while we've got staff present? Okay.
Solid waste plan, is it coming out soon? Do you know off the top of your, if you don't, I'll ask Sharon. It's
That
fine.
I don't know off the top
It's
of my
not
head.
soon, probably not.
Okay.
There's a short-term downtown focus, but the rest of the plan, I think.
That's
is
fine.
more.
We were talking about, so
We can get an update.
that's fine, no big deal.
All right, with that, we can move into resolutions and bills on consideration. We have just a handful of resolutions and a couple of bills on second reading. As is the custom in multiple committees now, we'll take resolutions as a set and then bills on second reading as a set, and we'll do consent style. If anybody has anything that they'd like to pull from the consent agenda, just let me know. We have 2 resolutions. We have RS 2018-1490, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metro government for the acceptance of the Hillwood Boulevard Bridge rehabilitation over CSX Railroad and Richland Creek LM 0.9. And we have RS 2018-1491, which authorizes 401 Union Hotel LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 401 Union Street. Any of those need to be off of consent for discussion? All right, I would accept a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? All right. And we are out. All right. on to bills on second reading, we've got BL 2018-1389, authorizes the Metro government to abandon existing easement rights located at Oma Unruh Place, unnumbered. BL 2018-1390, authorizes the Metro government to abandon existing easement rights located between Division Street and an unnamed alley adjacent to Interstate 40, formerly known as an unnamed alley parallel to 8th Avenue South. We've got BL 2018-1391, authorizes the Metro government to abandon existing sanitary sewer main and to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes and easements for properties located at 100 and 104 Fern Avenue. And we've got BL 2018-1392, which abandons a portion of alley number 940 right-of-way. Do any of those need to be pulled from consent for discussion in committee? All right, I would accept a motion to accept all bills on second reading.
Second.
And we've got a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, got none in favor, 0 against. Any other business before the committee? Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, indeed.
Happy Thanksgiving. I have to drive to Whole Foods in Green Hills and pick up my turkey on Friday morning.
When I scheduled to pick it up on Friday, because we're having Thanksgiving on Saturday,